Hello everyone and welcome to another I was about to say another episode there, but that's definitely not what it is. Another Green Tech Southwest event. I'm really excited to have everyone here today. We've got a really exciting one lined up, but whenever do we not? So we'll just be getting started in a few minutes. We'll look to kick off around 12:30 as per usual, but just obviously wanted to give everyone the opportunity to come in, get yourself comfortable, get ready for a great talk. Those of you who haven't come to us before or haven't been part of one of our online meetups before, welcome. Really glad to have you here. I'm just doing a bit of a sort of jibbery jabbery time space filling monologue before the main events get started, so we'll do the proper introductions and code of conduct and that sort of thing then. But feel free to obviously get acquainted with people in the comment section. There's a comment section sort of down onto the right, which is really great. It's been really great in the past, just really interactive, really great use of resources as well that get shared there. Anyone who's here, feel free to introduce yourself, just jot your name down, where you're tuning in from, what brings you to our event, what you're looking for, anything like that, anything that springs to mind. And I can sort of read it out, sort of radio host style-ish, and just give that sort of feeling of actually an online community, well, a community basically. So we're going to try and make a video available in the comments, which you're more than welcome to watch ahead, while everyone's getting settled in and everything, just about Ecosia. But if that doesn't materialise, ignore I ever said that. We've got really good talk coming up, and Sophie said that she just would like to make some videos and that available, so either to be enjoyed after or before. Perfect, here we are, just on time. So feel free to just use these, watch these videos while you're getting ready, while we just get everyone warmed up and settled in, and wait for any sort of late people to come. Well, not late people, sorry, shaming you that everyone, it's not even true. For any people just signing in and getting themselves ready for the crowdcast. Those of you who have been with us before know the format a little bit, but we will be usually we sort of introduce ourselves a little bit, and then there is a section where we basically open the floor to anyone in the community who wants to share anything. So this could be, we sort of call 60-second intros. So this could be an idea that you might have, a project that you're working on that you would like to help, or would like any help with, or would like potentially just to spread the word, basically do a bit of shameless self-promotion. We're all about shameless self-promotion on Green Tech Southwest, so do not feel afraid to do that. We get loads of people, just a lot of benefits of it so far, and a lot of people have been connecting with each other and have been taking part with each other on projects, so it's been really, really great to see. Hi Alex, thanks for joining, and Hannah, we've got Hannah there. So like I said, just getting started in about 2 minutes or so, just waiting for everyone to sign in and get comfortable basically. But equally, so just a bit of a run through of the platform if you're not familiar. Hi Pam, nice to see you. We've got the comment section obviously along the side there. Feel free to jot down any thoughts, anything that you think might be relevant for the community to, or that anyone would benefit from, any sort of praise or whatever to Sophie as well. That's more than welcome to go there. And then what I do at the end is I just collate everything, any sort of links or resources that are shared, or anything useful or of interest, and make that available to everyone after the meetup. This is also recorded as well, so anything that you've missed, or if you'd like to show anyone, or just revisit anything, feel free to just you can play that back at any time. And also the comments sort of, if you click on a certain comment, it sort of takes you through to what part of the meetup, what part of the talk that was said at as well. So that's really useful. People might know this, but I only found that out last week and it changed my life. So okay, great. What we've also got is got a poll section and an ask a question section down the bottom. We like to put up polls throughout the meetup, which is it's really good for just a bit of feedback and see what some user what you guys are doing and what your thoughts are and everything. So this is also if you do see one, feel free to just take part. And again, I'll be making the answers to this available at the end. It's always interesting to see what you guys are doing. So that's one option. In fact, just on time there, one of the first polls became available. And then also we always have a Q&A section at the end of where you get a chance to ask Sophie some questions. So obviously feel free to jot them down in the comments, but also there is an ask a question section, which just helps us sort of go through, instead of sort of sifting through the comments, we'll read them all out at the end and try and get your questions answered as best as possible. So that's really useful little tool there. And again, any sort of questions, or if there's anything that you'd like to know following the meetup, I can make this information all available to you. So don't worry, you won't be going without any information. Hi, I've got Nick Dean there as well. Hi Nick, thanks for joining. So we're looking to probably get started in the next few minutes. There's a lot of you here already, which is great. Really excited for this one coming up. I've been known about Ecosia for a few years now, really excited to see what's in store with this talk. Hi Rachel, nice to see you again. Glad you're looking forward to it. I definitely am too. We'll probably just be getting started soon. Let me just see. So also, sorry, I forgot to mention, if you do want to take part in the 60-second intros and you haven't let us know beforehand, don't worry, just mention it in the comment section and we'll yoink you on screen. So if you're wearing a dressing gown or anything, maybe not, and then we can get you, we'll just invite you on screen for 60 seconds and you can have a little talk. Hannah's come to save the day.
I was just having a bit of a laugh there, Ellen, about the thought of people in their dressing gowns, and that would so be me if I wasn't on the screen.
Yeah, definitely, exactly. I've only just gotten dressed up an hour ago. So.
These things that we do. Right. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen, hopefully the right one. I have upgraded my Mac to Catalina, and all the settings have changed.
I'm such a Mac. Just goes over my head, so I don't think I'll be any help to you there, Hannah.
All good. I'm getting there. Doesn't want to. Love this. Okay. Thanks, computer. Okay. I'm going to have to open these slides over here. Sorry. Ellen, you were doing an amazing job at filling the space. I think you should carry on. I have a little technical issue over here.
New material, don't worry. Well, I'll just say hello to the people who've recently joined. So, Joe, I've seen your 60-second intro request, so don't worry, we will Hannah will run through that in a bit more detail, and we'll get you on screen and hear what you got to say. And then hi Ian Cross, thank you for joining us, and glad to hear that this is your second event. Hopefully it won't be your last. But likewise, looking forward to hear more about Ecosia. Hi Andrew, and then hi Kuba, our long-standing supporter. How's it going? Oh, and then Rachel, yes, I've seen that as well for a 60-second slot, but wouldn't be your first one to say, you know what to do. Perfect. Peter, that's another 60-second intro. We'll, you know the drill. We'll try and get you on. We'll request you on, and then you'll be able to say what you need to say. And hi, Ajara. Hopefully I'm saying that right. You ready, Hannah? Shall I stop?
No, I'm not. I'm not winning. So I think maybe if it's okay with everyone, well, either one of you maybe could share the slides, or we'll go without them. It's only a little intro bit at the beginning, but I'm it's not working. I realized that I've been wrong. I've joined in Firefox and not Chrome, and I think that's why it's gone wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go out and come back in again. Yeah, that's just going to be
2 seconds. I can get the slides.
Yeah, legend. I'll get it sorted for the second half. Technology, hey.
Share.
Ellen, your ledge. Brilliant.
Oh, do I have to make them bigger or something? Yeah.
Can you hit the present button?
Yeah, with you.
Woohoo! All right. Oh, it's so nice to see everyone introducing themselves in the comments there. I've seen a couple of requests for 60-second shout-outs as well. Got Rachel and Pete there, I think.
Yeah, I've written them down. They're good to go.
Brilliant. Nice one. Nice. All right. Perfect. Cool. Okay, so Ellen, we're going to do like a kind of joint effort here, right?
Tag team.
Yeah, tag team. Okay, let's get going then. So welcome everybody to Green Tech Southwest. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. We are a meetup based up in the southwest of England, but because we're online, that means everyone can join us. So we're hoping that we've got lots of you from some far fun places today. I can see Gabrielle saying that she's in Greece, so that's really, really cool.
Oh, jealous.
Ellen, next slide, please. So I'm just going to do a little bit of an intro so you have some context about who we are and what we're doing. So first up, we always just never take it for granted that you have all shown up today to our meetup, and we are incredibly grateful to you for being here. So first up is thank you for coming today and for being a part of our community. We are Ellen. I don't know which order everyone can see you all in. Ellen, give us a wave, Ellen. Ellen, not me. I'm Hannah, and we have Mike as well. So we'll just take a sentence or two to introduce ourselves so you know a little bit more about who we are. Ellen, would you like to go first?
Sure. So hello, I'm Ellen. I'm a tech consultant at AdLib. I've always been really passionate about all things sustainable, all things green. So yeah, I'm really excited that I'm able to find Hannah and Mike and yeah, just build a bit of a community out of that.
Cool. Thank you, Ellen. So my name is Hannah Smith. I am a freelance WordPress developer and I live in Bristol. And like Ellen, I'm really interested in all things sustainability. I'm particularly passionate about how tech relates to sustainability, both positively and negatively. So that's me. And then Mike, over to you.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm head of tech at AdLib. I work with Ellen. We're a B Corp certified recruiter in Bristol. I've been using Ecosia for a few months. And yeah, I kind of thought it'd be great to get them on. Not really expecting a reply, but Sophie came back to me and here we are. So yeah, really excited to hear what she's got to say.
Cool. And I think we should also just mention AdLib, because AdLib are obviously both the company where you both work, but also very kindly support and sponsor this meetup. So would either of you like to give a shout out to AdLib? Say thanks. It's kind of weird thanking yourselves, isn't it? But anyway.
I'll let that over to you.
Yeah, well, I know my boss is watching, so I will say thank you very much, Nick. But yeah, no, it's really great for us because we get to mix our passion for sustainability and also, you know, helping green tech businesses to grow. So really grateful for the opportunity to get this meetup up and running, really.
Definitely.
We're also supported by, sorry, Ellen. We're also supported by two other organisations, Future Economy Network and Climate Action Tech, and we will tell you more about them at the end of the meetup. Anyway, Ellen, you are hopping on to the next slide, which is totally the right thing to do. We should hop on to the next slide. Okay, so just a bit of context about this group and what we aim to do. So our mission is that we are aiming to create a space where we can share insight and generate discussion about how tech relates to the environment. We don't have an agenda. We're just interested in sharing knowledge, in meeting each other and in building a community, particularly up around Bristol, around this stuff. And also really important to all three of us is that our community has an open and inclusive ethos. So we work really, really hard to try and bring a diverse lineup, and we try really hard to make sure that every single one of you feels welcome at this meetup and like you belong, because you do belong, and we're very, very glad that you're here. So we'll pop a link to the code of conduct and our group constitution in the comments in a sec. And the other thing that this meetup is all about trying to do is to create opportunities for networking. Cue next slide. Awesome. So let me introduce to you our community 60-second intros. So if we were all in a room together, this would be the equivalent slot at the beginning of someone standing up and kind of making an announcement about something, maybe that they're working on, or maybe that they need help or guidance with, or maybe a resource or some knowledge that they've learned recently that they would love to share with others. This meetup is not just about me, Mike and Ellen and the speaker. It is about every single one of you being part of our community and talking with each other and sharing knowledge. So we have our 60-second intros. So we've seen 2 people already put their hands up, haven't we? We've seen Pete and Rachel. So I think let's invite both of them to the screen at the same time.
There's Jo actually as well, Hannah. I think she was first in. So,
all right, nice one.
Shall I bring Jo on first? I'll do it in order.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's an invite on the way to Jo.
Cool. So Jo, what should pop up in your screen is you should see a little notification saying, do you want to come and join us on screen? This is always the tumbleweed moment, isn't it? Like sometimes the tech is flawless and it just works beautifully. And sometimes we have these long pauses where, people don't come on screen, but Jo has made it on screen. Excellent.
Hello. Hi.
Excellent, Jo.
Down to the right. There we go. Otherwise I'm looking in the air, right?
Yeah, I know. I never know where to look. I've got like 4 monitors back here. So it's a bit nuts. So Jo, welcome. Thank you for being first up today.
Thank you.
Are you comfortable with the concept? Do you need me to kind of explain anything, or shall I just let you go?
No, I'm fine. I'll go.
Awesome.
I'll go.
All right.
Hopefully I'll get it right.
Yeah. No.
So hi everyone.
Is yours. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Hi. Nice to be here. I'm passionate about everything environmental and sustainable. I've planted 200 trees this year personally, and 2,000 via my Ecosia searches. So, it's all about trees as far as I'm concerned. We plant a tree for every client and nurture them. It's not just about planting. And what I actually do is run a video production company. And we try to promote sustainability and the environment through video. So we work with a number of sustainability companies. We're members of Future Economy Network. And right now we're working with Ecosia on a grant that they put out for business entrepreneurs, tech people who have found interesting ways to save the environment. They're judging it at the moment. It was like a 1 million fund. They're judging it at the moment. During November, we'll be filming the winners in order to share the knowledge of the tech and how it's going to improve the world. So anybody who's doing tech and sustain and green is the sweet spot where we're looking for new clients if anybody wants outstanding video content and marketing. So the name of the company is Skylark Media, and I'm Jo Hayward.
Awesome, Jo. How awesome! Please follow up with us on that stuff as well, because as we mentioned, this is a community, and what we like to do is share what's going on. Yeah. So and we'll feel free as well to put any links that you feel are relevant in the comments.
Thank you. It was great to meet you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being first up today. That's awesome.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, Jo. Okay, cool. So Jo just showed us exactly how community 60-second intros work. I think that was perfect. So Mike, you look like you're busy adminning there. So
yeah,
I'm guessing you're inviting someone else up.
Yeah, Rachel's up next, so I've just sent an invite. Hopefully on her way.
Excellent. So Rachel, I think hopefully you'll get a notification there.
I'm here.
Hello again, Rachel. How are you doing?
How are you?
Yeah, we're all good, thank you. So you know what to do, right? I'll hand the floor over to you. 60 seconds.
Thank you. So like Jo, I have a partner, Brand New Story, partners with Tree Sisters and plants. I give 1% of all my takings to plant trees around the kind of the tropics, around the center of the planet, so that we can make sure that we keep us in rainwater for the coming decades. I run a business called Brand New Story, and I help organisations to create a purpose-led story. I started off as I'm a writer, journalist as my background, and the actual product I create is an actual story for an organisation. Begins with the purpose and the values, and then it's all about, most brands are the hero of their own story. They use the word we and our all across the front of their webpage. This is about turning it all on its head and making the customer the hero of the story. And I think there's a lot of sectors, tech is no different. My background with the Environment Agency showed me that sometimes we can kind of blind people with the science or the technology, whereas actually we need to speak to them in their world and talk about what we're going to do for them and what we're going to do for the planet. So this is what this is all about, what I'm doing. I'm also running a campaign called Stand Up for the Story at the moment via the website and LinkedIn, where I'm getting people to nominate brands who they feel like, where's the story? People like M&S and Boots have been nominated. WH Smith just went up today. But I'm also a member of the Future Economy Network. But my work all came about because I didn't want to just be a copywriter. I wanted to create a business with a purpose. And in doing so, I've kind of ended up creating a product that helps businesses to find their purpose and speak to their customers in a way that creates an instant emotional connection with them.
Brilliant. Rachel, thank you so much.
Quite a lot.
Sounds brilliant. And again, same as with Joe, please feel free to post anything in the comments and to your LinkedIn post as well, which I've been watching. Has been very interesting. Cool. All right, Rachel, thank you so much for joining us today. It's so lovely to see you again. We are going to hopefully move on to Pete. Mike, is that the plan?
Just invited Pete,
All right,
so
cool.
he's on his way.
All right, so Pete, you should be getting an invite on your screen any minute now. Hopefully you'll join us.
Yeah, it looks like I've magically appeared. There we go.
You have.
Okay.
Welcome, Pete. How are you?
See you again, Hannah.
Nice to see you
Okay,
today.
I don't know whether these are rations. This is probably my second shout out.
No, there's no rations.
Bit of a last minute
over to
shout
you.
out for I have a glorious job title of Entrepreneur in Residence for a programme we run at Set Squared Bath in conjunction with the University of Bath around sustainable technologies. So it glories in the title of Sustainable Technologies Business Acceleration Hub. And one of the things we do is organise workshops targeted at people who've had one of those ideas nagging away at them, or maybe are a couple of months into trying out that idea and seeing where it's going. So it's targeted at early stage businesses. And we work through 12 hours, 3 mornings in 1 week to build up a kind of holistic picture of how the business is going to work and just help you think it through and evaluate different options for your business ideas. So if you're one of those people who spent lockdown with an idea nagging at the back of your head, or you know somebody who has suffered that affliction, then I'll pop my details into the chat here, but please get in touch. It is pretty short notice, but we are still looking for a couple of places on next week's Entrepreneurs Workshop. You do need to be a company or legal entity or social enterprise or CIC or charity, so you can't help an individual. You do have to have something a bit legal around you. And you should be based in the west of England LEP region, so that's the North Somerset, South Gloucestershire, Bristol, Bath and North East Somerset, or be pretty close to one of those. Beyond that, or have a connection to the region, you can get away with that. We also hook you up with Bath University researchers, so that's another thing we can do as a further bit of jam on it if you're able to see your way to coming along next week. So I think that's me done.
Beautiful. Thank you, Pete. I did include your workshop in our events as well. So when we close out the event, there'll be a further shout out. I wasn't sure if you were going to come along today, so I was like, I'll make sure I put it in anyway. So anyway, cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Pete. So is that everyone? Do we think?
I think so, yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, there we are, everyone. That was exactly how Community 60-second intros are meant to work. And we had no tech issues today. Wow.
Sorry.
Right then. So,
Sorry.
that's all right. It's all good. I think we are ready to get Sophie on screen and to hand over to Sophie for our main event. So, Mike, can we pass to you to introduce Sophie?
Just invited Sophie, so yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Sophie. How you doing?
Hi, I'm not too bad, thanks. How are you?
Good stuff. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Cool. Really excited to have you on here. So I won't get in the way, and I'm going to hand it straight over to you if that's okay. And we'll have a Q&A at the end, obviously. And just a reminder to everyone, there is an Ask a Question section, which I'll be reading them out from just down the bottom. I'm not sure that you can see the chat or the questions when you're presenting, Sophie, but yeah, if everyone can kind of just pile everything in there, and then we'll have a roundup at the end.
No, that's right. Once I hit share screen, I won't be able to see anything in the chat. So Mike's assured me that if I'm doing anything ridiculous, or if at any point I run over or something happens, he's going to WhatsApp me. So I've also got my phone here to check the time and to check my WhatsApp just in case. I've also, since I last saw Mike, Ellen and Hannah, I've also changed into an Ecosia t-shirt. So I thought I might as well be on brand for this.
Branding, yeah.
And also thank you so much to the whole of the team for this event. As I said, when I received the LinkedIn note, I said absolutely, because Bristol for us is one of our most important cities. After London, actually, Bristol plants the most trees, and you guys do a fantastic job. Just hearing already about the 2,000 trees that Joe's planted, that's awesome. I'm sure there's a few others on here that have been using Ecosia for a while. So yeah, so Bristol's really, really special for Ecosia, and it's quite interesting. We've never had a UK presence before. I joined 6 months ago, and I'm based in London, even though I grew up on the south coast in Chichester. But I've been spending a bit of time down there during lockdown, which has been nice to get away from London. But yeah, based in London. Bit of an echo, but anyway. But yeah, the West Country is just blown up for Ecosia, and we were really, really keen to do a lot of stuff since I joined, kind of over the previous 6 months. We had loads of things lined up, which I'll talk a little bit about. But we just obviously, for obvious reasons, we haven't physically been able to make it there. But I just wanted to say a really big thank you, for having me, but also for your continued support and for reforestation activities around the world. I know there's Tree Sisters, there's a number of great organisations who are doing super things. So really appreciate the support from everyone. I'm just going to jump straight into the.
Yeah, I'll hand it over to you now, Sophie, and yeah, we'll see you at the end.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to share screen. 1 second, sorry. Okay, I think I should be sharing the screen now. Is that right? It's hard to tell. Mike, do you want to just give me a quick shout out if for any reason?
Yeah, looks good.
You can see it? Okay, great. Cool. All right. So just jump straight in. Oh, no. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yeah, all good.
Sorry, just had a bit of a flash. Okay, good. Okay, so just a little bit about me. So like I said, I joined Ecosia about 6 months ago in March, so right when lockdown happened. So I actually didn't meet any of the Ecosia team, who are all based in Berlin, until about a month and a half ago, when I was able to sneak over to Berlin. But that's okay, because as a tech company, we were very quick to adapt to the new normal. Using Slack, using all of the things that are available online. Actually, it worked really, really well. And there was a number of different things that we put in place to make sure that everyone, was really looked after in terms of well-being, mental health, etc. I should also say, I'm on the side, I'm a trainee psychotherapist, so I work a lot with students and also with refugees across the UK on mental health issues. And for me, one of the big things I've been looking at with Ecosia is also how do we support mental health, the mental health of our users. So we've launched a recent partnership with Samaritans, and also a lot of our users, which I'll explain in a second, are quite young. So we want to make sure that we are providing them with all of the mental health to support them on things like climate anxiety, etc. So my main job is, of course, working for Ecosia as the UK country manager and head of public policy. But I also have I moonlight as a psychotherapist, trainee psychotherapist as well, which also kind of does come together with Ecosia. Prior to joining Ecosia in March, I was working for a law firm called DLA Piper on global policy issues, hence me also having this title of public policy. There are a number of different policy issues that Ecosia bumps up against in the tech world, which we can talk about. but also on the environmental side of things, we don't talk enough about the impact we are having, to be honest. We're probably the largest planter of trees in the world of native species. We're also one of the largest environmental movements in the world. So we have a big responsibility to communicate what we're doing on the ground and to really talk about what else needs to be done. So on the policy side of things, I really have two kind of areas that I talk a lot about. One is tech policy and regulation, and the other one is on the environmental side. And the UK country manager role is probably the most fun, which is kind of supposedly going up and down the country. Right now it's kind of all virtual, but and talking to interesting organisations and companies that want to switch to Ecosia, that want to plant trees with Ecosia and do more to reforest the UK and also biodiversity hotspots, which is where we plant trees. So I know a lot of you do know about Ecosia, and here I had planned to have a little video, which we're not going to do, but it's posted in the chat, so have a look at that later. But that just gives a really good rundown of how Ecosia works, which we'll go through now. But in broad terms, we have over 15 million users, which means that we are one of the largest environmental movements tackling climate change. And over the course of the last 10 years, we've planted over 100 million trees. And these trees are very well monitored. They're in places where they have high impact. Like I said, they are in biodiversity hotspots. And we do this across 31 different tree planting projects in 21 different countries. And we'll speak a little bit more about some of those projects as well. So this is our founder, Christian Kroll. He founded Ecosia 10 years ago. And basically his whole premise was really about how can he find what is the biggest problem that we're facing? Climate change. What is one of the best solutions? Well, in broad terms, it's tree planting for many reasons. And what is the biggest revenue stream, the most sustainable revenue stream that he could come up with to fund that? Well, obviously the biggest companies in the world are tech companies, the biggest one being a search engine, largely. Well, it obviously encroaches into a number of different areas, but that's a whole other story. So he wanted to basically become a mini Google, but invest all of the money into something that would actually have a positive impact for the planet. And so that's what we do. We invest 80% of our revenue into tree planting, and the further 20% is now kind of invested in green investments. We'll talk a little bit about that. We used to say 80 to 100% of our profits go into tree planting, but we've actually been very we tried to kind of provide a bit of clarity there, because actually we realized that, you know, investments in things like our solar panel plants and some other things that we're investing in at the moment, actually we should be, you know, just say it's 80% tree planting, and the 20% also kind of allows us to do more active things in the community, but obviously always fighting climate change wherever we can. So we founded in 2009, April 2014, we became Germany's first B Corp. We're now registered, since I joined, in the UK as a B Corp as well, so we're part of that community here. In the first, well, it took us quite a lot of time, as you can see, about 8 years to get to our first 10 million trees, but that that very quickly then ramped up. So after we hit our 10 million tree target, we then decided actually we need to do something here to offset any of the emissions that we ourselves create through go to visit our tree planting projects, through having servers, etc. So we decided to have our first solar plant built in Germany, and we became 100% renewable. We are now at 200% renewable, so we create much more energy, which we put back into the grid than we use up, than all of our searches use up. And also in 2018, really importantly, Christian decided to put Ecosia forward for something called a purpose foundation. So he gave up his right to ever sell Ecosia for profit. So Ecosia cannot be sold. Christian cannot become a tech millionaire or billionaire, and he, you know, has a very modest salary, and he, you know, is really focused on just creating an organization that values impact more than anything. And this year in July, we hit 100 million trees, and I haven't checked the tracker today, but I think we're getting close to 110 million trees potentially already. So, I mean, the growth is enormous. We hit 50 million trees in 2018. And it only took us another 2 years to get to 100 million. And I think it'll only take us another year to get to 200 million. So we have more users than ever before, and more people using Ecosia than ever. So that means more trees hopefully getting into the ground. Unfortunately, to be honest, a lot of the growth of Ecosia has actually come from rising concerns about the environment. So we'll talk about this as well. The Brazilian Amazon fires, and issues like the Californian wildfires, the Australian wildfires. All of this means that we have been coming to more people's attention. As you can see here, we hit #1 in 26 countries during the time of the Amazon fires, which is, it's obviously a sad thing, but in some ways we're so dedicated to raising awareness about the importance of trees that it's just inevitable that people then kind of feel that they need to do something and start using Ecosia. And that is one of the benefits of Ecosia, is that it doesn't take, it takes 2 minutes to change your search engine, and you can start having an impact from home. And that's really something that people find attractive. So where are we now? Well, COVID meant that searches increased. So again, like I said, we have more users also in the UK than ever before, but the way that we work is by using ad revenue. So people clicking through on the ads provides us with the revenue that we direct towards trees. But because of global markets and uncertainty in the market and advertising arena, where lots of advertisers pulled investment out of kind of all kinds of areas, ad revenue went down significantly. So whilst we have more searches and more people using Ecosia than ever, we're actually making less money than we would have prior to COVID. But still, it's kind of been compensated by the fact that we have lots of new users as well. We took provisions as well in our tree planting projects to make sure that that no one was planting trees, and that even though we're still continuing to pay our partners on the ground and local communities, etc., we've just said, let's not plant any trees for now, and just to make sure the situation is safe. But where we can, where there are, the government allows, where there's local law that allows you to plant and there's distancing and protection in place, we are continuing to plant. Now, although we had a bit of a break for some time, and we obviously ourselves are not visiting from Europe any of the tree planting sites. But we also have made sure we have deep reserves to make sure that nobody has been laid off. We haven't had to furlough anyone or anything like that. We're able to continue to service our tree contracts, and we've actually expanded our tree planting, and one of our kind of targets and one of our goals during COVID was to really make sure that we were able to respond to crises. We appreciated that we had responded to a number of wildfires and environmental crises over the years, and we thought, well, COVID is a very different issue. But we, as an organisation with 15 million users, we really felt compelled to do something, and it just coincided with me joining. And my sister's a nurse, and I, as I've mentioned, I'm really interested in mental health. And I was just getting these updates about, on the news about the mental health of nurses and doctors and anxiety around hospitals filling up, etc. And I asked my sister what would be helpful, are there spaces for people, for nurses and doctors to go and sit and to kind of take the time, knowing that this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. And we kind of came up with the idea together of maybe planting trees around hospitals. Most hospitals, 25% of hospitals in the UK are in highly polluted areas. So that's if you're working in that environment and you go out for a breath of fresh air and you're breathing in polluted air, it's not good for your long-term well-being. So we basically decided that we would launch a partnership, which I'll come to later, in the UK for the first time, that would plant trees around 10 different sites in across the UK, which have been badly affected by COVID. And actually one of them is Bristol Southmead Hospital. So we will be planting trees, 200 trees will be going to Bristol, which we're excited for as well. And hopefully we'll see some of you there when we get planting. So like I said, we are one of the largest environmental movements, but we're largely online, and 75% of our users are under the age of 35. So it's a young audience, which means that one of the best ways that we can reach them and we can share stories with them is through social media. So we do a lot of social media. We have a really good marketing team. We do lots of videos. So I was really interested to hear both Joe and Rachel, you talking about storytelling and about videos as well. This is something that we do a lot of. We like to be kind of the opposite of Google in so many ways. And one of them is by being, where they're a kind of a very faceless organisation, we like to tell stories with using our own members of staff, using stories about our tree planting partners and individuals in the local communities who are really dedicated to the cause and celebrating those stories. So we use our YouTube channel a lot, so feel free to go through and browse some of the videos that we've got up there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we use them all. LinkedIn is something we're using more and more as more and more organizations are actively switching to Ecosia, which is a new kind of area for us, which we haven't done too much of yet, but I'll come to probably as well a bit later on. So who uses Ecosia? Well, it sounds like some of you do, which is great. I suppose just quickly before we get to that, it's important to know that probably the reason why certain people use Ecosia is that we are a privacy-friendly search engine. So we don't store your searches permanently. We don't sell your data to advertisers. Your searches are encrypted. We don't use external tracking tools, and you can turn off all of our tracking. We can talk a little bit more about that later, but essentially we are the same as other privacy-friendly search engines like DuckDuckGo. We have the same service provider essentially with Bing. We can talk a bit more about that as well. But privacy is something that we really value, and so we are as strong as any other privacy search engine. But the thing that we really talk about is the trees and the environment, because whilst privacy does matter to us, the end goal for us is really fighting climate change. So that's the biggest story that we tell. So yeah, like I said, we are largely geared towards younger people, and you can see there against some of the competitor smaller search engines and also Google, kind of where we sit on that. So you'll see that obviously generally there's a trend towards younger people using the internet more frequently, but for us it really is the 18 to 35-year-olds where we are strongest. That doesn't mean, by the way, if you're over the age of 35 you can't use Ecosia. We definitely welcome all ages. Yeah, so I've spoken a bit about the age range, and so skip through that one. Gender split, yeah, we also have more females than males using Ecosia, which is interesting as well. This was another video which I can't show you, but I will pop a link to that in the chat later. Ecosia on campus. So a really big group of people that use Ecosia are students. So given the age range, of course, it's no wonder that students use Ecosia. But what's really interesting is that a few years ago, a group of students in Sussex decided that they would campaign to their chancellor to get the whole of the university to switch Ecosia as their default browser. So that was quite a big deal. They wrote to Ecosia and they said, look, we're trying to get our university to switch. Can you send us some t-shirts or some merchandise to try and help us with our campaign? So we did that. We supported them through it, and the university agreed to switch. And so far, since 2018, they've helped to plant over 17,000 trees. This is a few months old, this presentation or this slide. So that's probably gone up to more than 18,000 by now, which is really, really great. And we ended up hiring the guy who led that campaign, Fred. So Fred is one of our heads of partnerships, and he's wonderful. And he has been creating this movement called Ecosia on Campus. And so now we have 46 universities in the UK that are campaigning to switch to Ecosia. A number of other universities across Europe have already done so. And in the UK, the University of Sussex, Leeds and Glasgow have all switched. And Sheffield switched this week. And I believe Bristol is just about to switch as well. So now, instead of waiting for students to come to us and say, you know, we'd love to switch, we're actively going out to students and saying, look, get your university to switch, and in return we'll make you feel like you're part of a community of students that are really keen to do kind of more activism, and we'll try to provide increasingly over time provide them with more resources and training about how you become a climate activist. So this is a really fun line of work for us. Another thing that's happening is that over the last few years, we've increasingly had companies come to Ecosia and say, look, we would like to switch to our whole company over to Ecosia. And so we then provide a URL tracker, which basically just tracks how many trees their company plants. So if they're larger than 2,000 employees, then we will provide them with a tracker, and over time we can see how many trees they planted, and some of these bigger companies as well have planted quite a lot now. If they're a smaller company, they can still track their trees, but we just don't provide them with a tracker. But it's still a really nice way for people to start to use Ecosia across their company. And we've had all kinds of organizations switch. So I mean, universities I just mentioned, but schools are really interesting. Quite often a young child will hear about Ecosia and they'll tell their parents, oh look, can we, can you use this in your company? And we quite often get people write to us saying, oh, my daughter or my son told me about Ecosia and I'd like to switch my company over. Or the schools themselves have switched to Ecosia. We've also had hospitals switch as well, which is really cool. So Newcastle was our first trust to adopt Ecosia as the default search engine, and we only found out about it. We didn't even know that they were using Ecosia. It was only through this NHS campaign where we raised over 2,000 trees for NHS sites, when they said, we've actually been using Ecosia for ages. And so that was really nice to hear. We're always hearing about new organisations that have actually been using us for a while. And like I said, if they are big enough, then we'll provide them with a unique tracker as well to really get their employees kind of engaged and interested and keep planting trees. So yeah, why should any organisation plant trees with Ecosia? Well, in the UK, I mean, there's a number of different reasons why you might want to do that. With COVID, there's a really good opportunity to demonstrate our commitment to green recovery, to reduce air pollution and improve air quality, to improve access to nature and green spaces across the UK. Often the most nature poor areas are also the poorest in the UK. So, access to nature is really important, and also supporting our wildlife and biodiversity. And of course, like I just said, the best part is really that it's free and easy to use, and you can, advance your own organisation sustainability strategy and reduce your carbon footprint as well, given the fact that each search with Ecosia does remove roughly 1 kilogram of CO2 from the atmosphere. So I'd encourage as many of you as possible to switch your organisation over. It's really easy to do. So you can just fill out a form which I can share, and we can provide you with a tracker depending on the size of your organisation, and monthly tree planting reports, etc. So yeah, so if anyone wants to talk about that afterwards, I'd be delighted to. That's just a bit more information about what an organisation gets when they switch to Ecosia. What's really interesting in terms of kind of questions from our users is people get kind of really not possessive, but they really consider the trees that we plant to be their trees, and in some ways they are, because you spent ages using Ecosia. You can see your personal tree tracker going up, and you do feel very much like you're growing your own forest, and absolutely people want to know where the trees are. And this goes again back into the storytelling element for us. We are really keen to make sure that we are communicating as regularly as possible exactly where the trees are going, how they're going in the ground, who with, etc. So we do monthly tree updates. This is from our tree team. I should probably have told you a little bit about the structure of Ecosia, but we have a dedicated tree team, and we have a dedicated tree planting officer called Peter, and he is an ecologist who's been with Ecosia from the very beginning, and it's his job to select and monitor our projects. And he's also kind of made sure that Ecosia has always had the highest standards of monitoring and reporting, and they're so high that they far exceed most organizations' standards. And even, I mean, I mentioned kind of on the public policy front, talking about environmental issues. I mean, given that we have one of the larger data sets of trees in the world, there's that comes with a lot of interest from governments, from UN organizations, the EU, etc., to understand a bit more about what impact are our forests, really having, and how can we understand more about the forest, more about carbon sequestration, more about what's happening to biodiversity in the area. So that's really thanks to his selection and monitoring of the projects, and kind of creating really robust data around that. In terms of offsetting, that's something that's quite interesting. I mean, we see increasingly lots of companies saying, that they can plant trees and offset for companies. We really do stay away from that discussion as much as possible. Like I said, a lot of this happens quite often, that companies will ask us to plant a forest on their behalf, or to, say that once they've started tracking with Ecosia, or started planting trees with Ecosia, they can use that in their sustainability reports and say they're offsetting. But we don't encourage that kind of discussion, to be honest. None of our trees have ever been used for offsetting. We don't sell the thousands of tons of CO2 that they capture to companies. they are planted to help the environment and to help all of us, and we don't try to use them to compensate for any company or individual's emissions. In an ideal world, we would all emit a lot less carbon. So we are really focused on looking at solutions, which is what that 20% of investment that I mentioned earlier. That's something that we're really trying to do: invest in initiatives and things that we think will really make a difference on that front. Yeah, so this is a good example of a planting project that we have out in Indonesia, where there were widespread palm oil plantations across the country, and that had really contributed to environmental degradation of a number of key ecosystems. So as you can see in the slide, 25% of Indonesia's rainforests have been replaced by vast palm oil plantations, and that has pushed out a lot of wildlife and endangering the livelihood of farming communities. So we're working there to restore forests of former plantations and create alternative sources of income. This is another example in Malawi. This is one of our most unusual reforestation projects, and this is we've actually got a podcast on this if anyone is interested. So we work with a local radio show to help people plant and protect the trees. So radio is one of the best mediums to reach a large amount of people in rural Malawi. And the radio program informs farmers about tree planting practices and the benefits of trees and sustainable farming. It's a really cool podcast, actually, if you guys want to have a look. It's our most recent one, and that's a really cool story there. And also in Australia. We started planting very recently in Australia after the rainforest after the rainforest fire, and we had, like I said, a huge uptick in people wanting to do more than just use Ecosia, and that's one of the challenges we have. I mean, as sustainable and as effective a revenue stream as the search engine is, ultimately, if you really want to do more, it's quite frustrating because you can't keep searching, because well, you can increase your searches, but I've tried it myself, and you soon run out of things to search. And so lots of people want to donate to us, and lots of people want to do more, and so we're always trying to figure out how we can kind of create a better functionality for people who want to do more than just search with Ecosia, because in times of crisis and emergency, we get a huge amount of people kind of reaching out to say we want to do more, we want to donate, etc. And that's just one of the challenges we have with how we're structured, is we can't accept donations. So we tend to signpost them to organisations that we're partnering with on the ground, so they can donate directly. Or they could buy a T-shirt because then you can plant more trees or something like that. But that is something that we get a lot. Would like to be able to plant more trees than just using a search engine, and there's a huge opportunity to do so. So we'll be working on that. And if anyone has any great ideas, then do let us know. Ecosia in the UK, like I mentioned, I'm a pretty new addition to the Ecosia team, and we haven't typically had someone. The UK is our third largest market. I should have said this as well at the beginning, but Ecosia was founded in Germany, and as a result, we have the largest kind of footprint for us is really in Germany. It's a brand that a lot of people recognise, in part because it's one of the most successful startups, but also because of some of the activism we've been doing in Germany over time. So I think it was in 2018, a company wanted to buy a forest called the Hambach forest, and basically destroy it to build a plant there. And Christian offered to buy the forest for €1 million, which was much less than the asking price for the forest itself and the company was going to pay. But it so confounded the authorities and even the company that they actually ended up stopping the purchase of the forest by that company. And Ecosia also was kind of really heralded as helping to bring awareness to issues that are happening in Europe, and that's something that I'd like to continue in the UK. Deforestation in the UK continues to be a big issue, and so we'll be hoping to do some activism in the UK around that. But for the time being, the main project that we've really been involved in the UK is our Grow Your Love for the NHS campaign, which was awesome. And we basically decided to donate all of the revenue from the Thursdays in May, the Thursdays being the day when everyone was clapping, to this project to plant trees around hospitals in the UK, partnering with NHS Forests and Trees for Cities, which is a great volunteer kind of led organisation where you can go and plant trees, and they do lots of things in London and across the country. So they are our tree planting partner, as our NHS Forests. and that was a great success. So unfortunately, we only managed to do 3 Thursdays in May because the first Thursday coincided with another event. But the 3 nonetheless did raise a lot of money, a lot of revenue through the searches for trees. And obviously, trees in the UK are much more expensive, which is another reason why we don't plant often in Europe or in the US. A tree normally costs between 10 and 20 cents in the places that we normally plant. But in Europe and in the UK, a tree costs £6. So that's already, especially when when revenues are down, we're searching in euros. It's better for us to plant in biodiversity hotspots where the trees can have the most impact than in the UK. But nonetheless, we do plant in the UK, and these are the sites where the NHS campaign where the trees will go. So it's nice regional geographical spread across the whole country, which is wonderful. So looking forward to planting in Southmead Hospital. I think the date for that has been pushed back to February, but I will let you guys know. What does being a purpose-driven business mean? I mean, that's something that I'm sure that you guys have been discussing over time. It's obviously something you're very passionate about, and so are we. Another reason why it's great to be on this call. We have transparency at the kind of the core of everything we do. Again, that goes back to that whole storytelling theme and really making sure that our users know exactly where the money that they've raised for their trees is going. So we do these monthly financial reports, and month on month is always the most read piece of content, which is really interesting, considering the fact that we're trying to, we work a lot with influencers, we're doing loads of other exciting things. It's funny that the financial reports are the things that people seem to just really like. So, you can go onto any of our social media pages, our YouTube, etc., our website, and you can have a look and see exactly where our money is going. And I think that's something that does definitely, and if you compare us to Google, definitely set us apart. So we aim at being accountable and establishing trust with our users in every step and every part of the process. It's really, really important to us, and I think our users like that too. So this is Wolfgang, our COO. So he used to work for McKinsey on solar energy, and so he's really brought this knowledge in-house. And so he's been leading the charge on helping us get to 200% renewable, which is great. Another thing that we do is we try to encourage green choices through our search engine. We do that through something called the green leaf, which is here. So if you were to click on Patagonia, you would see that there's a green leaf there. And there's a few organizations that have that. They have that because they are members of B Corp as well. So if your organization is listed on Ecosia, which it would be if it's a search engine, and you're a B Corp and you don't see that there's a green leaf, do let me know. I know that sometimes it's we need to update things if there's new information, etc. So we're very happy to do that, and this is a way that we can encourage people to make greener choices. However, if you are a fossil fuel or a large polluting organization, it's the opposite. So you will see that there is a climate destructive coal company kind of tag there, a little icon, which I have to say a lot of the large companies don't like, and they write to us and tell us that, but we're not going to change it. There is a coal index list with I think it's 250 biggest polluters, and we've taken it from that. So it's a little bit that we can do within the structure of the organisation, within the structure of our pages, and we are limited a little bit in terms of how we can restructure, re-rank information. Unfortunately, that is the nature of our contract with Bing, which is the organisation or the kind of the company upon which we sit, and that goes for any search engine, whether it's DuckDuckGo, Yahoo. They all use the Bing infrastructure, or their start page, which uses Google, but otherwise that's kind of what you have to do, unfortunately. So we're always working on improving our search results, but there are kind of confines in which we operate, which again is part of my role in public policy, is trying to break open those to make sure that we can be effective competitors as much as possible. So actually that gets me to the end of the presentation, and I didn't quite check the time, but I've just looked now, so hopefully that works in terms of timings. So questions. So I guess what I will do now is attempt to get out of here somehow. So yeah, bear with me when I try and do that, and hopefully you're all thinking of some questions.
Hi Sophie, we've got quite a few questions, so I'm just gonna jump on with you, and I'll start reading through a couple, and yeah, then we'll go from there.
Great.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. That was really brilliant. Can we get a round of applause in the comments for Sophie? Fantastic. Yeah, loads of nice comments coming through. Brilliant. Well, it's so great to hear, what Ecosia are doing in Europe, but also in the UK. So some fantastic initiatives there, and great to see you obviously coming to Bristol soon for that as well. So great stuff. I'm going to just go through a couple of questions this side of our wrap up, and then for anyone who can hang around for a few minutes afterwards, we will put the rest if she's stay around. So if we go with our first question. Okay, so does Ecosia work with or plan to partner with Indigenous organisations like the Green Belt movement?
Yes, we do. Actually, we've been working with the Green Belt movement for a long time. And actually I think they're just hopefully going to nominate us for the Earthshot Prize, which is the new prize with Sir David Attenborough and Prince William. And yeah, no, they're a great organisation. We do work with Indigenous groups. In fact, I think quite a number of our projects are actually with Indigenous tribes. We make sure that all of our projects, like I say, are kind of to the highest standard of ethical kind of care. I mean, one of the big things as well I should have also said is that for us, we really work to benefit people and planet. So the people part is a really big part of everything we do. And so, yeah, that's just really important to us. So everything we do along the way, there's a highly consultative process. There's a lot of at the local level to make sure that everyone is benefiting. We really like working especially with women's cooperatives and groups. We try to ensure that people feel a real sense of ownership over the forests, because we know that obviously, once the trees are planted, they will be in their care. And all of our contracts ensure that you can't cut down more than 10% of the forest, because we know that that's planted with Ecosia, because we know that to some degree the local communities will always draw on the resources of the forest themselves. So we want to make sure that if that's the case, that's absolutely fine, as long as it is done in a sustainable way. If it's for fruit collection or if it's for timber, that's absolutely fine. But there are provisions in place. And yeah, we absolutely do work with Indigenous groups, and we, like I said, we really enjoy working with the Green Belt movement, and we have a really good relationship with them.
Fantastic, that's really great. Just one more before I bring Hannah back on. You didn't mention tree card within the presentation. It'd be just great to hear a little bit about that, because I'm sure everyone's sort of seen various things on LinkedIn and in the media. So yeah.
No, that's absolutely great. Yeah, so tree card, like I said, we've been trying to figure out, well, there are so many different ways that you can plant more trees with Ecosia. Donations are one of the simple things you could do, but we can't accept donations because of our structure. So there's a number of different things that we could do to plant more trees, and partners are always coming to us saying, if for every one of these I sell, I can plant a tree. That thing we do a bit, but we wanted to try to financial inclusion is quite important to us, and so the tree card idea kind of came along, and we're thinking about it for a while. Obviously, credit cards themselves being plastic, we wanted to provide a sustainable alternative, and And with Tree Card, essentially for every, I think, £50 that you spend, a tree is planted, which is really good, and that just provides a different avenue to planting more trees. So we are looking at, and how you can be more ethical in your spending as well. I mean, the actual app itself, for anyone who's used anything like Revolut or Monzo, has a kind of an interface which is a bit more modern, I suppose, than some of the traditional banks. There's lots of things that you can do there to encourage people to make sustainable choices, and to educate people as well, in terms of how your money can be spent and is being spent, etc. So it's just the beginning. It's really the beginning of the journey there, but it's an exciting partnership. And when we launched it last week, we thought we'd get a few thousand sign-ups, but I think we hit 10,000 sign-ups within the first 2 hours, then 4,000.
Wow.
The first in the first 24 hours. So it keeps going. So yeah, hopefully we'll be working with some locally based businesses on that as well. So yeah, it's exciting. You can sign up. There is a link as well to that. I can include.
Yeah, hopefully we can get the link for you on that. I've signed up. So yeah, looking forward to seeing that. Great stuff. We've got loads more questions for you, but I am conscious that people are on lunch breaks. So I think we're going to bring Hannah back in, and then if it's okay, we'll kind of put those questions to you after. Sophie, if you can hang around for a bit. Okay.
Right. Over to me. I still can't get the slides to work. Never mind. All right, I'll just do it freestyle and we won't worry too much about the slides. Sophie, thank you so much for a great talk. As Mike said, we'll come back to you because there's a lot of questions that we'd like to answer, but we do like to sort of wrap up the event and allow people to go if they need to. So what I wanted just to talk you through was some of our supporting organisations. So we have the Future Economy Network. Many of you mentioned in the comments today, the Future Economy Network gives us a lot of help with promoting our events. And we love to give them a shout out. There's a couple of really interesting events that they have coming up. I've picked out a couple. You can go to, I'm going to have to read this out, thefutureeconomynetwork.co.uk/upcoming-events to see a list of events that they have. And they're all really, really great. On Tuesday the 3rd of November, they've got innovations in renewable energy supply coming up that I thought looked really interesting. On Thursday the 5th of November, they have another event called Build Back Better, Tech and Retrofit, which I thought was very appropriate to us in our group. So if you haven't heard of the Future Economy Network, check them out because they're well worth knowing about if you are in the Bristol area. Pete Keevil actually came on earlier and mentioned the Sustainable Technology Bath Acceleration Hub. I hope I've got that acronym right. STBAH, STBAH, which you might be interested in as well. And then the last event that I really wanted just to signpost everyone to, if you're Bristol based, you will love the Bristol Green Mingle. That happens every month. The next one is due to happen on Thursday, the 5th of November. So in the evening, it's 5:30 till 7. And it's a really, really great event. So they start off by telling you about what's been going on in Bristol. Obviously, we've got loads going on with the One City Sustainability Plan at the moment, and also our biodiversity plan as well. So there's lots and lots of chat about that. And then it breaks out into networking sessions where you get mixed up with sort of 4 to 5 people. You never know who you're going to get. And just really, really nice informal chats. I've met some really fantastic people through that. So check out the Bristol Green Mingle as well. And what we're going to do is post the link to these slides in the meetup so you can have a look through these yourselves as well. And then just to sort of finish off, staying in touch with the community after today's meetup. So one of our other really strong supporting organisations is the Climate Action Tech community, known as CAT. I know some of you will have heard of CAT already. CAT also supports our meetup. CAT is a global community of over 2,600 tech sector workers, all united in tackling climate change. And there's a very, very healthy and vibrant Slack community there. It's an amazing place to go if you want help with answers to questions. There's some of the cleverest people working on this stuff are there and very willing to share ideas. So definitely check out climateaction.tech if you haven't already. And then we've been talking loads about trees today. So we started this thing a few months back where Mike, myself and Ellen have clubbed together to get our own forest going. So we have an account with Ecology, who are a Bristol-based company who you can subscribe to and get trees from. If any of you fancy reaching out to us and saying thanks for organising today, you can plant us some trees. I've just popped a comment in the notes. Oh, Mike, you ledge, well done, sort the slides out. I think we have about 450 trees, which is like nothing compared to what Ecosia are doing, of course, but at a local level, we're very, very proud of our forest. So for about £4, you can plant a clump of trees if you want to. Cool, and then, oh Mike, I'm so glad you put the slides up, thank you. It's really great of you. Having tech issues today. And so then, just to wrap up, because you're bored of hearing me, no doubt want to hear what Sophie has to say, because we've got some great questions coming up for her. So just to let you know about our next two events, we have on Thursday, the 12th of November, a very different kind of format of meetup that we're running. We have gathered together 5 Bristol and Bath companies who are doing interesting things around green tech, and as part of the Bristol Technology Festival we will be presenting that meetup to you, our community, for your hopeful participation and enjoyment. So that's coming up on Thursday the 12th of November. And next slide please, Mike. Yeah, and then our next speaker-led event is with Jerry McGovern on Thursday the 10th of December. Jerry is doing an incredible amount of work around digital design and raising awareness around how tech, particularly data, creates a lot of carbon emissions. So that will be a really, really awesome event to tune into. And that's enough for me anyway. Thank you ever so much, everyone, for coming today. For those of you that need to get back to day jobs, hope you have a fantastic rest of afternoon. And we hope we see you again soon. And I'm going to hand back over to Sophie and Mike to finish up the questions. Stick around, folks, if you want to hear the end of it. Thanks so much, everyone. Okay, Mike and Sophie.
Great stuff. Thank you, Hannah. Thanks very much for hanging around, Sophie. I think we've got some really amazing questions here, so I'm just going to smash through them if that's okay. From Ross, I keep hearing a lot about tree planting, but all the while I'm also hearing a lot about deforestation, not just forest fires, but also deliberate deforestation for farming, etc. Is Ecosia doing anything to stop existing trees being torn down? And that kind of touches on what you mentioned earlier about was it forest in Germany that you talked about?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we had it was the first time we did something on that scale. So echo. And we are really passionate about this. There's a video which again I'll send, which is all about coronavirus and whether or not it's good for the environment. And ultimately, we think it's because a lot of the big kind of stimulus packages and kind of big employment kind of initiatives by governments actually involve doing some of these big infrastructure projects, for example, HS2, and protesters and people who are trying to protect ancient woodland in the UK are not able to go out and protect those trees. We saw that a number of ancient woodlands and some of the oldest trees in the UK have just been torn down this morning today. And so we will be supporting that campaign. We will be looking to do more to encourage our users actually to look out for what's happening on their doorstep, be vigilant and protect their forests to the extent they can by writing to their MPs, their MEPs. It's all across Europe. I know that, as I mentioned, HS2 internally to people at Ecosia, they said, yeah, there's another forest that's being endangered by a motorway that nobody wants in Germany. So I think we always think about kind of deforestation happening in parts of the global south and elsewhere, but it happens on our doorstep. And I think we're trying to be more active actually in key markets in Europe where we see the acts of ecocide. Funny mic there. Yeah, so basically, yeah, we are really passionate about this, and I think the key thing is that it does happen on our own doorsteps, not just in other places. So absolutely, we really do care about this, and if there's something that we can do to help on a local scale, if anything is happening around Bristol, activations around protecting forests, let us know. I think for now in the UK, the biggest deforestation scheme that's going to happen since the Second World War is really HS2. Like I said, there's about 100 and I think maybe 130 ancient woodlands that are going to be ripped up, or some of them already have. So for now, we'll be looking at that in the UK. But if there's anything else that we can do to help locally, then do let me know.
Yeah, fantastic. Just following on from that point, one of the questions from John. Having been involved with tree planting and rewilding projects, I'm aware there's pushback to such projects and even some hostility in locations. Has Ecosia experienced this, and has it been a major barrier to progress within projects you partner with?
It's never been a problem for us. I mean, one of the things that we are really keen to ensure is that we don't make the same mistakes that many organisations in the extractive sector have been making for years. I mean, the danger is that renewable companies, whether it's solar plants or wind or less so wind, but tree planting, and this is why, I mean, there's so many tree planting organisations these days, and a lot of them, I have to say, are not doing it to the highest standards. They don't monitor and report on their trees effectively. They plant monocultures, and they displace people. They can do at least. I mean, if you're planting trees without care for the local community, without them being brought in to where the trees should go, exactly what the method should be, etc., then it's not going to work. So we are really careful with exactly how we select projects. So far, we have because of that tree model that we take to make sure that it's always bought into by the local communities.
Yeah, fantastic. That's really good. Question from Joe. If you're doing a paid AdWord campaign, does Ecosia use Google AdWords, or does it have its own setup?
I actually don't know the answer to that. I'm really sorry. I can ask my marketing team and get back to you. I don't know. Sorry.
No worries. We'll make a note to follow up with that on the meetup page for anyone who's very keen to find that out as well. So that's great. From Mauro, one of our ex-speakers. I understand that Ecosia is the interface of the search engine provided by Microsoft. Is there any problems with privacy doing it like that?
No, I mean, like I said, we are as safe and as dedicated to kind of ensuring user privacy as search engines that also use the same kind of the Bing infrastructure. I mean, there are only two kind of search engines in the world, in Europe and US, and that's Bing, which is Microsoft Bing, and Google. And Google provides search results to start page, but the rest all go via Bing. But we ourselves don't store personal information for longer than 3 days. We often we anonymize anything much earlier than that. The only thing that we do keep in terms of like users' information, and again that's only for 3 days, if that at all, is a small part of the IP address, which is for spam protection. But that's just that's something that we try to get rid of as soon as possible. And also, I mean, our goal is really not to know anything about our users. There are some things around. There's some kind of options, Ecosia kind of deselect tools around personalized settings that you can deselect. So we really won't know anything. So you can opt out of any internal tracking or any kind of thing at all. So there is a way of doing that on our settings. But if we were to get anything, we can do very bare minimum. We're not interested in our users, really. We are interested in our trees and what's happening with them, but we absolutely, even culturally, just being a German organisation, we are really anti anything that encroaches on people's privacy. And the purpose of our organisation is not to get more information so that we can, understand what's happening across your devices. We don't even have, the ability to do that as Google does. But they obviously want to optimize search results for people so that they can get better ads, etc. For us, we don't. That's not our interest. Our interest is making sure that we're generating revenue to just reinvest that straight back into trees. So we come from different places in terms of what other search engines might be doing, and it's one of our kind of key things. So our engineers are really dedicated to ensuring that it's a privacy safe search engine.
Great stuff. That's really good. One from Ruth Smith, who is asking really how the Ecosia algorithm works and how much emphasis is given to predictive analytics. She says she watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix, which I've watched as well. It's an amazing program, and was saddened to learn how Google exploits users' existing biases to increase engagement. For example, someone who might be skeptical about climate change will see results suggesting climate change is a hoax. Are there any sort of ethical dilemmas with that as to how that works?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are loads of ethical dilemmas as to how they're doing things. I mean, we don't create a profile for our users. We really don't have a lot of information at all about our users. We have information about the search terms, but we wouldn't know whether you or I for those. And so as a result, I mean, we aren't able to do some of those things that you mentioned, you know, having a preference for looking at kind of information around anti-climate change kind of discussions and things like that. So that doesn't apply to us in the same way as it would to organizations that are really kind of tracking people's searches and things like that. So yeah, but nonetheless, there is a broader discussion, isn't there, around misinformation and kind of what comes through on people's search results, and that's something that we are really keen to make sure that we flag as and when, if there's ever any harmful content or anything like that, you know, that's something that we are always kind of flagging and saying to Bing, you know, you need to change all kinds of things. So we're always in discussion with them if there was ever any content that was fake, misinformation, harmful, etc. That's something we're always making sure that we report as and when that comes, that might happen.
Fantastic. I think that's pretty much all of them, which is great. So thank you everyone for being so engaged and asking so many questions. Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like an amazing organization, and fair play to Christian. What a guy. You just met him the once, have you?
Yeah, actually, I didn't even meet him because he was stuck in France, because the place he was in, I think it was in August or July, then I was there, he couldn't actually leave. So I've actually never met him in person, even though I talked to him all the time. So I feel like I know him.
Amazing. Well, yeah, great stuff. I mean, we look forward to following everything you're doing, obviously out there in Europe and beyond, and also in the UK. So yeah, just keep up the good work. And yeah, thank you very much for coming to tell us all about it. And yeah, we'd love to have you back on in maybe a year or sort of see how things are going. But yeah, if in case anyone else has got any other questions, I think we're probably good to wrap up and send everyone on their way. But thank you very much. I'm sure the 25 people that hung around, I'm sure have been very happy with all the information. And yeah, I'm sure you converted a few people today who'd be ditching Google for Ecosia. We certainly will be. So great. Thank you very much again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. It's great to meet you all.
Great
and
stuff.
Yeah, you can connect on LinkedIn or send my email address around. That's totally fine. Yeah, I just saw that.
Brilliant. And there will be a recording of this which you can access. We'll pop in the meetup group probably about 3 or 4 minutes time. So if you missed any part of it, you know, you can catch it all up there. Look forward to seeing everyone on the next event. So thanks everyone. Have a good day.
Cheers. Bye.
Take care. Bye.